In the future American Civil War and the future wars among the nations of the world, the targeting and destruction of civilian-associated resources and infrastructure will be widespread. These targets will include public works infrastructure, such as roads, railways, bridges, tunnels, dams, electrical grids, telecommunications facilities and networks, water supply, oil and natural gas pipelines, mass transit, airports, and seaports. Of course, military infrastructure will also be targeted. The secondary effects from the destruction of these facilities will be devastating. When transportation goes down, roads, railways, ports, and so forth, supply chains will fail. Non-local goods, especially food, will disappear. And when food disappears or is severely diminished, hunger and famine follow. For example, one assessment of the consequences of a future American Civil War argues that if the agricultural sector of the American economy fails, not only will there be a food shortage in the United States, the shortages will be worldwide. With the scarcity of food comes a dramatic increase in internal instability. Food riots have occurred repeatedly throughout history and across the globe. Pertinent to our topic at hand, there were food riots during the First American Civil War in the Confederacy due to a lack of food and other provisions. But it is not only transportation and distribution that can and will affect the agricultural sector and, ultimately, survival. If the oil supply and associated refineries are disabled or destroyed, their associated products will also disappear. One such critical product is fertilizer. Farm machinery, such as fertilizers, planters, and harvesters, also rely on fuel. Seed production would suffer as well. Food has always been used as a weapon of war. In fact, the withholding or denying of food is just as effective as military force. The whole point of siege warfare, for example, was to deny the defender access to food and water. The attacker would surround the defender and starve him out. In one form or another, siege warfare with food as a weapon has been practiced from antiquity. A modern example of the devastating nature of this type of warfare is the siege of Leningrad during World War II. Also known as the 900-day siege, German forces encircled the city and used bombardment and starvation to destroy the city. The effect of the 900-day siege was brutal and deadly. Estimates of the death toll vary, but most put the number of dead around 1 million. Starvation and famine in the United States and throughout the world caused by the wars and calamities preceding the second coming of Jesus Christ are a certainty. In his revelation on war, the Lord informs Joseph Smith that the earth will mourn due to the bloodshed of the sword, followed by famine and plague. This was the same warning he gave his disciples during his mortal ministry. The nations and kingdoms of the world would rise up in battle against each other. These wars would be followed by famines, pestilences, and earthquakes. Granted that famines will be caused by the planetary catastrophes that follow the wars. The Savior stated that there will be a great hailstorm, referring to rocky debris falling from space. This hailstorm will destroy the crops of the earth, which will ensure famine around the globe. But this doesn't preclude the surety that famine will follow the wars before the planet's return. As surely as the third horseman of Revelation, famine followed conquest and war, so famine will follow the future wars at the start of the apocalypse.